Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack the code on persuasion. We're going to break down the hidden mechanics of how we convince people and how we get convinced every single day. And we're going to do it using a really powerful but simple framework from a philosophy course.
So, let's just start with a question. We are constantly surrounded by messages trying to win us over, right? From ads on our phones to political speeches, even scientific papers. But how do they actually work on us? And is it possible that sometimes a simple story can be way more powerful than a logical, data-driven proof?
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll unlock a 4-part communication code. Then we're going to look at how some messages go for the heart while others aim for the mind. And then, for the grand finale, we'll reveal this crucial trade-off that's at the center of pretty much all persuasion. Okay, let's dive right in. The secret decoder ring for understanding all this, it really comes down to this one single table that helps us organize basically every kind of communication we ever run into. So, here it is. This table lays it all out for us. It maps out 4 fundamental ways we communicate: poetic, rhetorical, dialectical, and logical. Each one has its own source of credibility, each one targets a different part of our brain, and each one is trying to get a different reaction out of us. This right here, this is our key. Let's start with the first 2 types of discourse. Now, these are the ones that don't really try to argue with you using facts and figures. Instead, they're all about connecting with your emotions, your intuition, your gut feelings.
First up, we have poetic discourse. And no, this isn't just about poems. It's any kind of communication that just pulls you in and makes you feel like you're part of something. It doesn't lay out an argument, it creates an experience. It builds a connection based on pure intuition.
And you see this in real life all the time. That catchy jingle doesn't give you a list of reasons to buy a product. It gets stuck in your head. A charity ad doesn't lead with statistics. It shows you a face, it tells you a story, and it makes you feel something. It totally bypasses formal logic and goes straight for the gut. Okay, next up is rhetorical discourse. Now, this is where persuasion gets a little more direct. The goal here isn't just to make you feel something, it's to get you to agree to something, and, most importantly, to act on that agreement. So the crucial point is this. Rhetoric uses appeals to your imagination, to your memories, to build a case that you'll hopefully accept. It wants to move your will. It wants you to make a choice, whether that's, casting a vote, buying a car, or deciding on a verdict. And this is the perfect illustration of where rhetoric lives and breathes. A politician's speech. It's designed to stir up your emotions and memories to get your support. A lawyer's closing argument. That's not a scientific proof. It's a compelling story built to persuade a jury. In both of those situations, a decision is the ultimate goal. All right, let's switch gears. We've talked about the heart, now let's talk about the head. We're moving from the world of feeling and choosing to the 2 types of communication that appeal directly to our logic and our reason. So, dialectical discourse, you can basically think of it as a structured conversation. It persuades by getting you involved in the back and forth of ideas. It's not about winning a debate, it's about exploring a topic together to get to a better, shared understanding. This is really the process of thinking out loud with someone. Anytime you're brainstorming with a coworker, or weighing the pros and cons of a big decision, or just trying to figure something complex out with a friend, you're using the dialectical method. It's persuasion as a tool for a team investigation. And finally, we get to logical discourse. This is the heavy hitter. It's the most rigorous, the most forceful form of communication. It tries to build an argument that is so solid, the conclusion is pretty much impossible to argue with.
Yeah, if you were to rank these by pure argumentative force, logical discourse is number 1, hands down. Its power doesn't come from emotion or a good story, but from the unshakable, almost mathematical structure of pure reason.
This is the world of 2 + 2 = 4. It's a mathematical proof or a law of physics. The persuasion here is almost compulsory. If you accept the starting points, the argument itself basically forces you to accept the conclusion. There's not much wiggle room. So we have our 4 types, but here's the big reveal, the central insight of this whole thing. These 4 ways of communicating aren't just a random list. They actually exist on 2 completely opposing scales. And this table illustrates the core trade-off perfectly. On one side, you have the scale of persuasiveness, the power to really move people. On the other, the scale of forcefulness, the power of pure logic.
And just look at them. They are perfect mirror images of each other.
Seeing it as a bar chart like this makes that inverse relationship totally clear, doesn't it? As one goes up, the other goes down. The poetic stuff that's the most persuasive, it's the least logically forceful. And the logical stuff that's the most forceful, it's the least emotionally persuasive. This is exactly why a powerful story can often convince more people than a spreadsheet packed with undeniable facts. And you can actually see this trade-off in the real world, in how we organize knowledge. The arts and literature, they're built on poetic discourse. Law and politics are the home turf of rhetoric. Philosophy uses dialectics. And of course, the hard sciences rely on pure logic. Each field uses the communication style that works best for its goals.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, by understanding this code, you can become a much sharper listener and a way more effective communicator. You can analyze the messages coming at you, and you can choose the right approach for the messages you want to send. So the final question for you is, now that you have the decoder, which of these languages do you find yourself speaking most often? And maybe, which one do you need to learn?